Hello, everyone. Let me introduce this session, the Professor Huang and Professor Wu, and our guest online is Yan, Kana, and Kim.
Hello.
Hi, hello. Welcome to this panel. And I'm Jun Huang from National Jiao Tong University. And we know that this panel will be given in English because we have three good friends from Japan, from Korea, and from United States. So let me briefly introduce our panelists. So first, I would like to introduce Professor Wu. So Professor Wu is a distinguished professor in National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. And I believe that he is the most senior researcher and educator in the area of security in Taiwan. And actually, he is the chief leader of the project like ISIP and the AS3 program in Taiwan. And basically, all of us are working under his supervision. Let's welcome Professor Wu.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everybody.
And the next one, I would like to introduce Professor Kim. Professor Kim is now with the Department of Cybersecurity Department in Korea University. And I think he is very famous because he is the advisor of the HITCON CTF team. And we know that HITCON has won twice in the DEFCON CTF champion. So let's welcome Professor Kim. So
thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. And the next one I would like to introduce is Kana. Okay, so Kana is one good friend of HITCON. She has participated in HITCON for several years, and unfortunately this time we can only have her virtually in this event, so we cannot see her in physically in the event. And Kana is very important in the security community in Japan. So for example, we have second event and we have Kobru event. These events are basically organized by Kana. So let's also welcome Kana.
Hello.
So Kana, would you like to say more to our audiences?
More than hello, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so honored to be here with great panelists. And then the first HITCON was for me is 2010, 10 years ago.
Wow.
So now it's growing and growing. So congratulations HITCON and then succeeding of the hybrid conference.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And the next one I would like to introduce is Yang. Yang is a professor in Arizona State University, and he is also the order of the overflow, the organizer of the current DEFCON CTF in the world. So if you already played CTF for several years, maybe you have heard about a tool called Anger, and actually he is the project leader of the Anger. So I believe if you already play with CTF, you must know Professor Yang or others in the internet. So let's welcome Professor Yang.
Thank you. It's amazing to be here, virtually. I wish I was there in person.
Okay, that's great. So actually, Yang has joined HITCON event this year. So actually, we have a physical meeting this year, and he also contribute and make some big important announcement in the event. So
he just, last year he announced online CTF, the training course. I remember.
Yeah, Pone College. I actually talked about it this year. Now it's videos and everything.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
okay, so that's great. So I think you have run Pone College for one year. So maybe you can share more experiences about running such an online course with us in this panel. So the topic we have this year for this panel is the opportunities and the challenges for security trainings and events in the era or in the post-era of COVID-19. So I think we can start the discussion. So I would like to pass my mic to Alan for the first question.
Okay, the first question we would like to ask of you, we all know that the COVID-19 has made a great social impact and changed the way of communication. Even DEFCON CTF has held virtually. I would like to ask how we can arrange online events such as a meeting or courses. Yeah. Okay. Kim, can you take the first shot? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I think that it is a huge advantage to listen to the very high quality presentations and trainings by online at a low price. I think that is very good. And also it is even better to be able to save flight fee and hotel fees. I think that is a very good point. But in the case of education, accompanied by the experiment and the practice, online has some limitations. And furthermore, in case of the online presentations, the educations, there is always a risk of the illegal recording.
Okay.
So it is a very dangerous practice for the presenters and also the educators. And finally, the reason we attend the conference is not just to listen to the presentation or trainings, but also we want to meet the people and inspire the relationships.
Yeah.
So how to solve this in virtual space is our future homework to be solved in the future. I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So, Kana, what do you think?
Yep. It's very similar. Yeah, we have similar challenges too. Actually, since COVID-19, now when was it? It's February or March? Yeah, it was February. I had a GCC event during the COVID-19, under the COVID-19 situation. So we have 8 countries, students from 8 countries gathering in Tokyo. That was a hard decision to make it. But anyway, so for me, it's been over 6 months ago, but for me, it's more years. Like I'm thinking about it for years already. I feel like it. So, but first, I was thinking, what is conference providing, like Kim Sensei said, and what the attendees are wanting. And then the big thing is accidental encounter, like meeting people. So we are giving the interesting talks and contests and workshop, party and coffee, but it's a place to meet people. So they find friends, business partners, and their friends in lifetime too. So that's the reason why the sponsors want to sponsor and then join the event. So this is really hard to make it happen, but I try the best to make the place everybody can, network and then talk to each other. Our platform, our Call Blue will be next month. And we use some kind of platform that is easier to network people. Yeah, and then also watching the movies on the multiple tracks. And also, now another issue is that we are facing is the less submission, smaller number of submissions, because speaker cannot travel to Tokyo. They submit the papers because they want to come to Tokyo and have fun. And if there's no stays, there's no Tokyo trip. Why? Why have to submit the paper? So we don't have many papers, but instead of the Tokyo travel, we give them like honorarium, payments. We promise, like we give them like up to $1,000 for one session. So. And the small number of the submissions, but we have more serious contents this year. So it'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also we make it a free entry because sponsor wants it.
Okay, I would also like to go to Tokyo. very much.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry
Especially
about it. Maybe
next
year.
Yan. This is the first time I didn't go to the DEFCON this year. I didn't.
Yeah.
I expect so much, but because the COVID-19, so we
It
can.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
It
What do you think,
moved it
Yan?
online. But that's an interesting thing about DEF CON, actually. DEF CON moved to Discord this year for the platform. And I was actually shocked at how well that worked. There were hundreds and hundreds of channels for all the villages and everything. And scrolling through those channels, I remarked to Dr. Tangent, scrolling through those channels felt very, very similar to walking through the hallways of the hotel.
Oh.
Yes, thank you.
So it kind of got close to capturing some sort of an in-person feel, which is interesting, and made certain things easier in organizing an event like DEF CON CTF.
Okay.
Also, well, from the incentive for the speakers, maybe we do not have chances to travel to different countries. But I think if we have this event online, maybe we can increase the capacity of this event. So do you have any observations on maybe the number of issues or number of speakers increased in the event you organized?
That will be the question 5.
What was the question about?
No.
Increase attending? Not yet.
Increasing
The number of
the
speakers.
audience. Speak.
Number of the speakers increased? Number of the speaker. We could, but if I can answer, we could have the more sessions, more tracks because it's virtual, no limitation of the spaces, but I think of the qualities too. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
a potential win is like streaming out onto Twitch and so forth, or other streaming platforms. But yeah, it's tricky. I think this, going to the event is a very big draw, right?
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Okay, so we can move to the next question. So we would like to ask Kim, Kana, and especially Yan about the contest online. So what is the difference, do you think, that the contest moved from on-site to online? So what will be the biggest change or impact to the players? Could you please share your experience with us? So maybe we can start from Kim.
Sure.
Me? Your question is you mean what is the difference between the previous contest and the virtual CTF? Is that
I
right?
think so.
Yes.
For
Okay.
contest, for
Yeah,
example,
yes.
for CTF.
Okay. I think that there are 2 advantages and 2 drawbacks. I think so.
Okay.
Advantages. The first one is that CTF is a team sport, team competition. So for the students, there is a big burden because all team members should move from South Korea to the Las Vegas or the other foreign countries. So we should make money for the flight fee and so accommodations. But in virtual CTF, there is no that kind of burdens. So I think that is not expensive. So virtual CTF is very good for the students, for the poor students. The second thing is I think that in case of the previous real CTF, it is very hard to communicate among team members because there are so big noise and music in the field. But in virtual CTF, there are no that kind of noise. So it is very easy to communicate with our team members.
Yeah.
So I think that that is the advantages, 2 advantages. But there are also drawbacks. The first one is that from the view of the organizers, there is a problem of how to prevent cheating and how to manage the huge number of VPN traffics. So that is drawbacks from the perspective of the organizers. And the second drawback is that I think that most of our CTF team members, our students, think that I cannot feel like the real finals.
Yes.
It's just a virtual one. So there is a disadvantage that the fun and motivation to participate the CTF are very low compared with the real CTF. I think so.
Yeah, I definitely felt that from the organizer side of things. Absolutely. When we organized our first DEF CON CTF, we had a player on PPP that hacked so hard that they passed out at the table, right? And that's just much harder to, not that that's a good thing. Hopefully, luckily we haven't had any other medical emergencies at DEF CON CTF since, but it's not as, it just shows how motivating being there at the table in person can be. And I've heard from many people that it's much harder to capture that. But like you just said, right? If you're virtual. I'd add another unexpected bonus. One thing that is very hard for us as organizers every year, as you know, with DEF CON being such a public event, is engaging with the audience. Because usually we're way too busy to, you know, let's say we could have a talk at DEF CON, but then we would have to leave the CTF area to go to a room to talk to people, right? And that's just, we can't devote the time to that. And it's hard to know, you know, if there will be an emergency at the time, and we'll have to cancel it and so forth. But what we did this year, because it was virtual, was have public CTF kind of report, like whatever, a state of the CTF report every day during DEF CON, open to the public. We did in a specific Discord channel that anyone could jump into, and we streamed it onto Twitch. And the public engaged with that in a way that we haven't seen, you know, spectators directly engage with the CTF finals in a long time. So that was a definite opportunity, I think, that we were able to take advantage of.
And how about Kana?
Me, the Kim Sensei and the Yang said everything.
Okay.
Yeah, but especially the organizer side, it's hard. You know, player side, there is online, they have experiences, but the organizing the CTF is, you know, organizing the CTF, everybody is different rooms or different places. It's a little bit hard.
Yeah, and I think especially in that sense, because when you organize, like the run up to the event is just insane. There's always an enormous thing to be done, enormous amount of things to be done that end up piling up, and you don't sleep the last couple of days and so forth. And it's not so bad when everyone is in person and you can go and wake someone up if there's if you need to launch their challenge. But at DEF CON, we were going to launch a challenge, and we the person who wrote that challenge was asleep, and we couldn't wake them up. Like we tried calling, texting, messaging, everything. They're sleeping with their phone on silent by accident.
It's not only about CTA, but the conference speakers too. You know, conference speaker in the different time zone or drunk. And you know, I always use a hotel close to the venue, because I can knock on the door and wake them up. But this time, no way. It's going to be accident. I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. One time, I think the first time I spoke at HITCON, I flew in. My flight got delayed and landed like an hour before the talk, right? And I remember everyone was very, very stressed, and rightfully so. but it's like that, but for everybody, right? You don't know who will be there, who won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, also in case of the DEF CON, in my case, I should wake up all day long. In the night, I should participate in DEF CON and Black Hat.
Yeah.
And in the morning and afternoon, I should go to my school to work. So I should wake up all day long. It's a very hard job for me and also to my students.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Okay, Yan. Kim just mentioned about the cheating. I want to know what do you think? What kind of the cheating will be if the challenge, the CTF is held online?
So there is one major difference from the perspective of cheating, and that is when we hold DEF CON in person, everyone gets a network table. And every packet that goes through our network, more or less, we can tell what team it's coming from. When things are held virtually, for the most part, you can. But for example, during the game, there was a brief period where we gave each team a virtual machine that was pre-connected to the network with all the VPN configuration done for them, and someone's machine got DDoSed, right? Or at least went down several times. And since it's all on the open internet, it's much harder to understand who is doing what, right? You can check, okay, what IPs is this coming from? But realistically, that could still be anybody, right? It's an IP in the Western United States, probably an Amazon server that anyone could just spin up.
Okay.
So from that perspective, network DOS and it was a little more chaotic. Mm-hmm. I think otherwise the CTF community has gotten quite good about not cheating, or at least figuring out ways to stop cheating. There are CTFs, online CTFs, where for example, Hackasat, every flag was customized to the specific team that was trying to solve the challenge. So flag sharing, they could catch that way. And then a couple other things. I don't think it's that big a problem but of course you can't limit team size anymore if you wanted to in the first place.
Yeah. That will be the third question. Yan and Kim, one of you is the organizer. The other one was once the champion. Kim, what do you think of the China team winning the contest this year? They are the first place, right?
Yeah. A0E won first place in an incredibly tight battle against PPP right up until the very end. I mean, they were switching positions so frequently, it was insane to watch. Way back when Oops, one of the teams that later became part of A0E, was first starting out, I went and to OCTF and gave a talk, the opening ceremonies, and in the opening ceremonies I said, packets don't care about national boundaries. We're all hackers, and this isn't, it's not Chinese hackers, American hackers, Taiwanese hackers, Japanese hackers. It's hackers, right? If you get a bunch of everybody in a room, for example, at the after parties at DEF CON CTF, everyone is just hanging out. There aren't like these clumps of countries and so forth. So from that perspective, I'm very passionate about continuing to ensure that DEF CON CTF represents a global hacking community. That's why I try to argue internally, and we as a team try to ensure that the qualifying events, spread out. No individual like hacking community of one single locality gets too much. All of the pre-qualifiers or something. So it was very awesome to see kind of more diversity among the winners. That was very cool. I respect, of course, everyone at the top of that scoreboard is incredible. But the more as we go back in time, the more we say, okay, this country, this country, this country, this country, rather than saying the same country over and over. That I think is valuable for the global cybersecurity community. One day we'll see Taiwan at the top there.
Thank you. Kim, what do you think? I think the AOE, their sponsors, they have a lot of sponsors. So they have the 14 together. So what do you think? You are you took the 2 champion. I remember it's 2015 and 2018, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. What do you think? The China team winning this year?
Yeah, I think that whenever, as you know well, I am a review board member of the Black Hat Asia. So whenever I review the submissions in Black Hat, I always feel that the quality of the submissions from China is very high, and the subject of the submissions are also very diverse. And also, the Chinese team tends to be very persistent in conducting the research once they started. So I think that this is possible because there are a huge number of the people, and there are so big budgets for supporting that. I think that CDF is same as the case of the briefing sessions. I think so.
Okay. What do you think, Professor Wu?
Yeah, I think that such an online CDF game is just like you listen to the radio, the music, right? It's not so excited. So, but you listen to the music, you can say, oh, this is a very lovely song from China, from Korea, from Japan. But if you want to say who is the most famous singer or the most outstanding singer in such cases, then you can recognize who is who. So I think actually I encourage our students to participate not just on site the game, not just on the future, because on the future is just a virtual world. There are so many so many skills that you can cheat, or you can get a lot of people, a lot of students just for a supporting team, not in the real side. Actually, a real side computation has a very good, important value, that is the social coherence. Social coherence, that means that you can participate such games, such prayers with from the other countries to make good friends. Cybersecurity is not just a problem from one country. Cybersecurity is all over the world, right? So we need to have good friends, good partners, and social coherence to against all such security or cybersecurity stress in the world.
Yeah.
So
And that,
actually I love and I encourage my students to encourage just on-site prayers.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's I think that's a very important thing that is missing and that we haven't figured out how to duplicate for these high-level, finals in-person events. I don't think anyone from the US became friends with anyone from outside the US just from DEF CON finals, whereas from previous ones, that was happening. But with them going virtual is much harder.
Thank you.
So I think the conclusion for this problem may be that the party is the most important part of the CTF competitions instead of the content. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. But in terms of the effort you have to organize the event, do you think you will prefer to have an online event next year or on-site event?
Do we have choices?
Do you?
We're not sure, but maybe we do not have choices. But if we have chances to make a decision, so what will be your preference?
On site. In person, it'll be awesome. It's more work, or at least different work, but it's worth it. It's worth it for the community.
You have the after party. I would like to on site. The after party. The after party.
Okay, so maybe we can looking forward for the vaccine next year. So maybe we can have the vaccine and then go abroad for the on-site events. Okay.
So for me, first time to see the CTF party after the CTF is in Korea. I think a long time ago, and I saw it, and then players don't talk much before CTF, but they talk each other. How do you solve it? How do you solve it? In the after party. So that was a moment. Oh my God, this is cool. This is how we mix the people. This kind of talented student don't talk much. They don't have, they're shy. But after the CTF, they talk a lot. Even who's afraid of speaking English, they speak and they show the screen and this is how I do it and something like that. So that was amazing. I learned from Korean CTF. Thank you for it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I think we can move to the next question. So for the next problem, I would like to ask Professor Wu and Yang. So I believe that you already have a lot of experiences on online courses. So do you think the COVID-19 bring any opportunities or challenges to cybersecurity education online? So maybe you can share the experiences with us.
Yeah, actually, I did not have so much experiences in online teaching because I do not like to online teaching because when you are teaching in the class, you can watch you can watch and you watch the looks and some feelings from students and what they want to or they are looking forward to what you have told them. And so I think that is that's why we need to have a classroom, not have a TV in the classroom, right? We need classroom, we need such climate for education. So actually I do not accept online teaching in my university.
Yeah. Can you? Sorry, I have saw a video that when the teacher they teach online and the student use the a video on the handset and fix on the before the camera. So the teacher thought they are still.
Yes. I think there are so many problems in classroom. For example, and teachers say that they may be violated their freedom of teaching. But what it means freedom of teaching because I want to teach, and I want to teach depends on the feeling, the climate in the classroom, not just listen to the radio. Okay. Or not just watching the video online. I think that's a different climate for learning. So learning, when we are learning for enjoying, that means you just involved in such climate, so that we will have a happy learning, not just learning for application because you need credits, So that's in the last semester, I refuse to teach online. Yeah, I insist. So every student, they wear mask in the classroom. And it's very hard for me to talk more than 2 hours wearing mask. But I enjoy, I just looking for their eyes, not for their for feelings, that just they're facing in the students. But I enjoy that climate. Yeah.
So that's one opinion. So, but how about Yang? So you have run the Pan College for maybe more than 1 year. So
Yeah.
do you have
So,
any
so
experience?
let me start with. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Awesome. Let me start with a kind of an analogy. When ebooks came out, right, and people started reading on their screens, there were a lot of people, and there still are people that say, okay, but that paper book, the sensation of turning pages, the way that the light doesn't light up in my face, but it reflects off the book, that's an integral part of reading, right? And that is true for a lot of people, and no physical books are there for them, but for many other people, for a huge amount of avid readers, the ebooks are a great solution, and they enable access to incredibly wide ranges of reading material, right? Imagine COVID without ebooks. I mean, I have books in my house, but I would quickly run out. In a similar way, I had the same kind of concerns as Professor Wu as well. I was worried that I build off of my students' energy a lot. I try to have a teaching style that's very dynamic, very excited, but it's very hard when there's no one sharing that excitement. And I didn't know how I would move that online. So that was one thing that I would say. A second thing I would say is the best way to run a CTF, for example, is to run a CTF. If you don't have the CTF deadline coming at you, you will never be ready to run a CTF, right? But as the CTF gets closer, you realize, okay, you have no choice but to put in insane amounts of work and get it finished. And COVID did something similar for me for online teaching. When COVID hit, and it hit Arizona very, very hard, maybe a month or two ago, right? We had a huge explosion, and ASU just said, look, most classes are going to be online, and we need to prepare. So we have no choice. And so then you sit down and you think, okay, how can I make this work? And I had already launched Pwn College 1 year ago at HITCON. And Pwn College is what I was calling a white belt to yellow belt cybersecurity education platform. You start Pwn College knowing nothing about security, but good fundamental concepts. Maybe ideally x86 assembly, just not how to inject it into processes. And then by the time you're through Pwn College, you now know a lot of the basic concepts of hacking. You understand memory corruption. You can reverse engineer binaries. You understand how kernel vulnerabilities arise and how kernel exploitation works, these sort of things. And I put the challenge problems in my lecture slides, and I launched them publicly for the internet last year. And a lot of people went, and Pwn College is based on this concept of practice makes perfect. There are literally hundreds of challenge problems for a student to do start to finish. And they get slowly harder, and a lot of the challenge problems actually teach the students how to complete them, and so forth. And then my goal was always to launch videos, right? Because the lecture slides, they're just not good on their own, right? You need a teacher to teach. Otherwise, we'd all be out of jobs, at least in academia, and we'd just have lecture slides everywhere, right? Be replaced by Google spreadsheets or Google Slides. And so what ended up happening is I was just too busy to record those videos. And I was thinking, okay, I will record them and launch Pwn College videos, the Pwn College 1.0 right before DEF CON. And that, of course, didn't happen because we were preparing DEF CON. And then, what finally forced me to create videos on Pwn College was having to move my class online. And I realized, okay, my class is going to be online anyways. I will make Pwn College and my class the same thing. So as the semester progresses, I launch more and more videos, and I record them not in one long lecture because that's impossible to maintain the energy without the presence of students. I record them in tiny conceptual parts. So I split my lectures out. I've gotten better at this throughout the semester. For example, last week we covered sandboxing and sandbox escape, and every video is like 15 minutes long. And I can sit down and I can maintain enthusiasm and excitement for the whole video, and a student can sit down and watch it and absorb those concepts while they go on with their day, and then go and watch the next 15-minute video. And then the other thing that I do with student engagement is I stream live on Twitch my office hours for the whole world to join, and my instead of like a normally scheduled lecture, because everything is recorded and put online ahead of time, I run an extended question and answer and demo session, also live on Twitch. And so a lot of my students, they show up on Twitch, and on Twitch, it's a different kind of feedback, but there is feedback. There's the Twitch chat that goes next to your video, and students can chat and post memes, and it's a very different type of classroom environment, but it is a classroom environment. It's just happening online, and you can see that in real time, and you can take questions and so forth, and it works. And then the awesome thing is all of this is also recorded. So if you go to Pwn.college, we're now launching videos. Every week we launch a new module of videos, and it's alongside those videos on our YouTube channel, we have the extended Q&A and then the office hours and so forth. I think it's working for students. They can go back, they can watch these concepts. During the lecture, they can interact with the lecturer in funny ways on Twitch. It's definitely not the same. It's definitely a very, very different experience, but it is the virtual equivalent of a classroom that I think works fairly well. And there's one more thing. The big challenge is group activities, right? So I wanted this year, at the end of every class, I wanted 1 hour where the students could work together on challenge problems, right? Like a mini CTF, and maybe they'll team up into groups, and then naturally they'll start racing each other, for example, or something along these lines. And that's very hard to do online. But again, after DEF CON moved to Discord, and I saw that maybe there's something to this, I created a Discord server for the whole class. And so for 1 hour, everyone piles into Discord, and they're all on different voice channels talking about, how they're solving these problems and so forth. And it works. It's last week when we launched, or last week, two days ago, when we launched the shell coding challenges, the shell coding module, I saw 2 students racing each other to the top. During that hour, they managed to solve every challenge we released. We had to release more challenges. So it works. It's a very different online experience. Or it's a very different educational experience. But so far, I think the content is making a good transition.
That's very good sharing. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
I believe that maybe it doesn't matter if we have the courses online or on-site, but it depends on the attitude of the students. So maybe we know that there are some data-driven students. So even if you
Yes.
have many videos online, they do not pay for more time to looking for the videos. So
Some readers still don't want to read on an ebook, or can't. They just don't relate to that as well as paper books. And I don't think we'll get rid of in-person schooling. I mean, once the virus is dealt with, but I think this sort of education model is here to stay. The other nice thing is once it happens, like I'm recording all of these videos, those concepts stay relevant for a while, not forever. I'll have to re-record them in a couple of years, for example, especially things like heap exploitation changes constantly. But the videos that are up on YouTube, they're there for people to learn even when I'm not teaching, which is a very exciting thing as an educator.
Okay, thank you for your sharing. I think we have one last question, so.
Okay. I would like to ask all of you, the Black Hat this time has held virtually. As the organizer, do you think we have any way to increasing their audience? Also, okay, just for the first question, how anyway we can increase the audience? Kana, can you take it first?
Sure. Actually, it is increased maybe because we make it a free entry, free admission. Maybe because of it, but we don't show the program list yet. We don't, publish the speaker list yet. But we have more than 1,500 registrations already. So it shows how much they are expecting, the Core Blue. Some people cannot, come to the Core Blue because of the price or because of the, distance, time, but they can, listen to the sessions.
Okay.
From home now. So it is increasing. And interestingly, I don't know, female is more active online.
Okay.
And, not all the places, but I see some, differences. Like, for example, like Kobu is calling for the communities, but the first submitter is a female, and then that was a female community who wants to make more female speakers on stage. So that is good one. And also the other one is at other events. It's an educational 1-year education project, and then they're calling for the students, and then more female is coming. Even though the number of the application was decreased, but the percentage of the female is increased. It's interesting.
Okay, thank you. Kim,
Yeah.
what do you think? Any way to increase the audience?
In order to increase the audience, I think that we should make some method to strengthen the relationship between people and people, because many hacking students want to make some relationship with the great hackers in hacking conferences. So we should solve these problems. In case of some universities and companies try various things like Minecraft and so on. So I think that we can try the virtual hacking conference in Minecraft platforms. In that platforms, we can meet somebody, some avatars in Minecraft and say something to them. So I think that in the future, we should make some Minecraft platform for open the hacking conferences. I think so.
Okay. Yen?
Yeah, I think the alternate routes of engagement are good. We toyed around with creating a VR platform for DEF CON CTF.
Yeah.
Right? But in the end, it's just tough to guarantee that everyone has a VR headset. But you could have, like a headset that you put a phone in included in the admission cost, for example. That could could work. I think Kana's point is a very, very important one. The numbers might be going down, but the question is who is attending, not just how many. If using a virtual setting where either people that couldn't afford it or people that didn't feel comfortable showing up to an event, unfortunately, the cybersecurity community is not so widely known for its inclusivity. And this makes certain people, it makes it hard for certain people to participate. If online makes that happen, that is a huge value to our community.
I think so.
Thank you.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So this is something we need to investigate and actually amplify, even post-COVID.
That's true. And also, if we're talking about the functions of the conference, like a BL or something like that, I really like to have the automatic translations on chat. You know, Yan speak English and I speak Japanese, Kim Sensei speak Korean, and then you guys, you know, Taiwanese speak Taiwanese on chat. And it's auto translation on each screen. That's amazing. I love to have. And
one of the most surreal.
Do we have these technologies? Right.
I heard the PhD has such a thing, and it's under the development. But if they provide freely, that is amazing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and
most...
yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Kana.
And also the you know, auto translation for speakers too. We don't have to hire, you know, expensive translators. You know what? It's not only Japan, but if we use their voices on YouTube, they charge us twice more.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's used. No, their voice is only for one time, but if we use it for archive, they charge us twice more. So I really like to have the automatic translation on speakers and on chat.
One of the most surreal experiences I've had in my kind of professional life is the panel last year at HITCON, where everyone was speaking in their own language and then you had live translators going in our ears. That was incredible.
Yes, we have.
It's too costly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too costly.
It is cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, like Hannah said, if you really enable that as using these online conferences as a seed, that is huge value.
Yes.
So I think both in conferences and education, COVID is a big bummer for sure. But we need to see it not just as a problem, but as a catalyst for solutions.
Yeah.
Right, for kind of the next steps in education. People have been talking a lot that the future of education doesn't include universities. I don't know whether it does or not, but I think the future of education has to include a wide-scale streaming, archiving to permanent platforms, and so forth. There's a lot of value in that we shouldn't abandon just because we get a vaccine in a couple months or whatnot.
Okay. The next question, Yan, what do you think? The COVID-19 will be continued? Do we have the DEFCON CTF next year? What do you think?
We will have DEFCON CTF next year, and we will
online.
do everything
in
our power
person.
to have it in person.
Yeah.
But of course, ultimately, it is up to the Doc Tangent and his super elite team of awesome people. But I have hopes that it's in person. I miss all of you, in person.
I miss you guys. Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, I think we are running out of time, so let's thank our panelists first.
Yeah.
Yan, Kim, Kana, Yan, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. You was
Bye.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.